Hello, everyone. I hope that you're having a wonderful Halloween, and I'm glad that you came to join us this evening for tonight's session, a special Halloween one shot of Shiver Death of the Author. I will be your stage manager this evening, Brandon O'Brien. I'm sure you've seen me around before, and I hope that you are ready to enjoy something new, something just a little bit haunting, and something I will admit was very cathartic for me and my players to write and prepare for, and we're very eager to bring this to you this evening. A reminder that after this game, Arv will be here to read some Edgar Allan Poe for you all, and that's also going to be a delight. But until then, I hope you enjoy spending a few hours with us while we tell you a story. Before we tell you that story, however, the usual housekeeping notes for this channel. Um, if you type exclamation ARVTube in the chat, that will give you access to the YouTube channel where you can see VODs of this and all of the other content that takes place on this Twitch stream. Exclamation point ARV tweets will give you access to Greg's Twitter, where you can see him regularly being erudite and thoughtful as always, as he is on this stream as well. Exclamation point ARV Cord gives you access to the Discord channel where you can meet all of the lovely people in this community, get updates about streams that will appear on this Twitch very soon, and more. Exclamation point ARV Shop will give you access to the shop where you can find merch for all of the stuff that is presently on this channel, and hopefully you will see some very new things very soon, but that might be a while from now. Exclamation point Arftreon gives you access to the Patreon where your support helps this channel grow and make more cool and interesting content, much like this one. And if you continue your support of this channel, we would like to see even more interesting things happen here very, very soon. Exclamation point Speculate will give you access to the Patreon for the Speculate podcast, where Greg, myself, and Michael R. Underwood play in and GM all sorts of very interesting and wonderful RPGs, including the case of the Cindered Seal, where most of tonight's cast is coming from, where most of the cast has also been playing very wonderful characters. Um, Exclamation point Grey Shade Chaos will give you information about the Grey Shade trilogy that Greg is presently working on, which you can, in fact, um, support and hear more about very soon. I know that some very interesting things are coming up in just a little bit, which I may or may not have some part of, but I've been very overwhelmed in assisting in that regard. But rest assured that you will hear more about Grey Shade very, very soon. Um, Exclamation point Library will give you access to information about Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. Dungeons and Dragons 5e sourcebook, which you can learn even more about when you check that link. And very especially for this game, I will mention before I mention some other things. Exclamation point Shiver RPG will give you information about the game that we are about to play. And if you follow the link that is provided when you type that command, exclamation point Shiver RPG, it will give you not only information about the system that we are using, but they actually recently announced earlier today for Halloween that, in fact, they will be coming out with a new book in 2022, Shiver Gothic, which I'm very excited about, but that's much in advance, of course. Thank you, Sticker Glue, so very much for subscribing yet again. 12 months, 1 year is very, very nice. Happy Halloween, everyone, and I hope that you've had a very lovely Halloween as well. Thank you so very much. There are other Shiver commands that are very specific to this evening. In particular, exclamation point Shiver CW We'll also give you information about the content warnings that will be in effect for this game. Being a horror RPG, it is very important that you are aware of some of the boundaries that we will be crossing in this game. So if you need to do anything that is necessary to take care of yourself while we deal with obvious matters of physical violence, gore, and death, but also um, several marginalizations and microaggressions, including but not limited to experiences of racism, sexism, transphobia, and homophobia. Um, it would be very important to me that you do what is necessary to take care of yourself during this game, as we will be doing what is necessary to take care of ourselves as we play. Um, Also, exclamation point BLM will give you access to resources that will allow you to learn more about and support the Black Lives Matter movement on this channel and elsewhere. We still and will always assert and affirm the value of Black lives in the United States and everywhere else in the world, and it is very important for us to not only learn as much as possible about these issues, but learn ways in which we can support the communities that require support. And exclamation point help now, which will give you resources about mental health. Me personally, I can speak to the value that I have had um, uh, dealing with my own mental health struggles over the past few weeks and months during our present lockdown situation. I've been particularly struggling to be perfectly honest, and remembering that I can reach out to people in that struggle has been very important to me. So if you need to reach out to somebody because you are going through something, or if you know that someone else is struggling and would like somebody to reach out to them, please reach out. And if you need any resources for your own assistance, please peruse the link in that command. But without further ado, I would like you to meet my friends as we get ready to tell a story. So I'm going to rejoin them now, um, as they are obviously having all kinds of lovely conversations without me, preparing for the antics that are to come as I join them here now. Say hello to everyone in chat, everyone. Our strange friends are here. Unfortunately, Yoigo Ainlin cannot join us this evening, but he is here in spirit, and as is Halloween, what better way to join a group of your friends than to join them in spirit? But everyone else is present, and I would like them to introduce themselves now, starting with Valerie.
Hello, I'm Valerie Valdez. There was noise happening behind me. Sorry about that. I am the author of such books as Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, two found family space operas that pair super well with Mike Underwood's. And are we introing our characters yet, or are we waiting on that?
Yes, I would like to hear who you're playing and what your character is afraid of.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. So today I will be playing Frankie Molina, who is an up and coming novelist and TV and film writer, and she is afraid of heights.
Ah, I see. Next, Mike.
Hi everybody, I'm Michael Underwood. My latest novel is Annihilation Aria, which is there's a copy behind me here, right over there. It's a found family space opera that goes very well with Valerie's excellent books. I also stream video games over at twitch.tv/turbotango, which has been a lot of fun. And some folks who are here have been frequent guests, which is a great time. I am playing Rick Stone, a delusioned ex-cop turned science fiction writer who is claustrophobic.
I see. And last but not least, Iori Kusano.
Good time zone, everybody! I'm Yuri Kusano, Clarion West class of 2017, pronouns they, them. Tonight I am playing Simon Wu Sai Wing, who is a sci-fi and horror author. And a paranormal researcher.
And what is Simon afraid of?
Simon is afraid of being surveilled. He hates your Alexas.
Noted. That might be important at some point, but we shall see. So, while I have everybody's attention, I want this to be observed by players as well as by chat as I enter a thing for everybody else to see. Which is the command exclamation point shiver real. Um, just to remind everybody that today's session, Death of the Author, is not a real story. We are going to be having a lot of very real conversations about very real experiences, but this is not to say that we are attempting to describe or allude to any one real person or experience here. We're just being real with you about the overall experience of being a marginalized person in space. So I hope when you see certain things or hear certain things, you are not drawn in chat to say, this reminds me of X, simply because that makes it very obviously unsafe for people to continue having those kinds of conversations. And I want it to be known that that would be something that we're trying to avoid today, as we're trying to just have fun. With that being said, tonight's story starts in a very unfun place. It starts before we get to the party that you are all about to attend. About a week and a half before that party, on the afternoon that you have all been gathered at a restaurant to commemorate the 1 year anniversary of the passing of your dear friend, Alex Fairweather. Alex has been one of your only lifelines in this industry. If it weren't for them, you probably wouldn't have even stuck around, and it wouldn't have been as easy or as possible for you to make friends in the industry at all, let alone make friends with everyone else at this table. At one or more points, you have each woken up in the middle of the morning and said, you know what? I think I'd rather be a fry cook or a grave digger than continue writing SFF. And when you spoke to Alex, they were like, nah, you should continue fighting it out because your work is worth it. And they've gone to bat for you on a regular basis to prove that they care about your work. And if it weren't for that, you wouldn't be here. And now you're here and they're not. And on this 1 year anniversary, you have decided that since you don't get to see each other very often, because you are all on different parts of the country, you're going to take this moment on this afternoon to break bread with each other, ramble about the industry, and make a toast to your friend Alex. What's lunch like?
Can we go to Olive Garden?
Of course, unlimited soup and breadsticks. I don't know about you, but I'm still acting like I'm broke.
From what we talked about before the game got going, it doesn't seem like any of us are necessarily in super fancy day jobs, like economic situation wise.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you've gone to
I
Olive
think
Garden.
We have our corner booth. We're on maybe our second, third basket of breadsticks. Simon is carb loading. Maybe shouldn't be if he wants to keep his biceps up, but it's a day with feelings, and feelings require bread, you know?
Just don't tell my trainer about this.
Okay.
Is your trainer going to ask us about this?
I don't know. She somehow knows everything.
I mean, she does. After this game, you're gonna learn she knew that you went to Olive Garden the entire time. But,
Did she chip you?
I don't ask.
I bet she put something on your phone, man.
I mean, I have the exercise app, so I put something on the phone.
Did it to yourself. That's how they get you. That's how they get you, man.
Looks at phone.
Slurps a Coke.
You know what? Rick, I want you to give me... I was gonna say I want you to give me a fair check, but we haven't gotten that early. I want you to give me a smarts check as you
Okay.
look at your phone.
So I've got a 3 in smarts, so I'm going to roll 3d6. That's a 2, a 6, and a 4. And this is smarts.
Which means that you've got none.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah? You look at your phone very quizzically. You're like, it's possible, but you wouldn't know how. And as you do that, you notice that you've gotten a notification on your phone.
Please be a translation. Please be a translation. Please be a translation.
It's Twitter. It's Twitter. And some drama has begun and it sucks. You were not paying attention for some time now, but suffice it to say that for like an hour or so earlier today, it seems like a handful of people in the SFF space have been shuffling their feet around trying to announce whether rights to a thing have been bought, and whether it's a very big deal that's going to lead to a very kick-ass very kick-ass film adaptation, or B, whether it's kind of weird and creepy, but nobody wants to say what it is, because if it is weird and creepy, then it means that they know that a weird and creepy thing is happening, and they think that they'll be judged by saying that they're also excited about it. You have no idea who it's referring to, what work is being talked about. You just know some banter is taking place on book Twitter, and everybody's abuzz about it, and you don't know why or if it's good or bad.
Did either of you hear about like today's science fiction protagonist on Twitter? I have like severe context gap. Like it's just everybody's dancing around things.
My therapist made me block Twitter during certain hours.
That's good.
Well, let's have a look. And Simon pulls out his phone, takes it out of airplane mode, waits for the 4G to come back online, loads Twitter, which takes kind of a while. And after just a bit of prolonged scrolling, still with a breadstick in like halfway out his mouth, he goes, I could get clearer information off a Ouija board.
Okay, I want you to also give me a smarts check.
Okay. I also have 3 in smarts.
So you'll roll 3d6, and hopefully you'll get 3s.
2 3s and a 6.
Ah, nice. It becomes immediately obvious to you, like, you notice a series of things in order. Like, when you get to, like, the thread where people are talking about the thing, you're like, okay, a certain kind of person is not having this conversation. Like, 80% white women in genre refuse to even say any of the code names related to this thing. So they're just like vaguely talking about book Twitter drama, but you know that they're talking about the thing, and as you kind of hone in on it, you kind of discover like a couple of inklings more, and that's when you essentially discover that it is being hinted at in film spaces that one of the quote unquote grandmasters of SFF fandom has potentially bought one of the hottest works in the last um, 5 or 6 years, and is rumored to not only therefore have the rights to continue that series in print, but is being pegged by producers to be on the hook to write the script if he gave them the rights to make the feature film adaptation. And that whoever has those rights is still weighing those things, and it's just like people are like, I don't know what the book is, but it sounds rad. I'm kind of curious what the person will do with the work. But you still can't really get a sense of what, just that it's a big deal and it's related to a work that may have come out very recently. And it, to be perfectly honest, it gives you this kind of weird, anxious kind of feeling, because you're like, you know who would kind of deserve to have a movie out already? Alex.
Yeah, but Alex also deserved to be around to enjoy that, so. Simon summarizes the drama to the table with some choice comments about how he cannot tell if Twitter is using they, them as an actual pronoun or as an obscurative pronoun, which kind of drives him nuts. Like, you're talking about a person. Using that person's pronoun does not de-anonymize them. The fuck? This calls for another goddamn breadstick, honestly.
Are you gonna call a waiter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We are flagging the waiter down for another basket of breadsticks.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that just happens. A waiter passes by. Um, you notice the waiter like kind of idly roll her eyes. And then she looks and goes, would you like something to drink? Anything else that you wanted to add to your experience this evening?
Can I get a refill?
Oh yeah, definitely. Would you like me to just bring the bottle for you, or? Okay, sure. Anything else?
I think we're good, thank you.
Okay, grand. And it just like rushes back off.
One of the reasons Simon is burying his feelings about everything in carbs is he drove. So, like, he'd like a glass of wine, but he's also not gonna.
Fair enough. As that, well, as the waitress steps away, all of you notice a buzz on your phones. Each of you have gotten a new notification. It's an email.
Oh shit, I was supposed to put that back in airplane mode. Harb's throwing me off my game.
Simon, give me a fair check.
A fear check. Okay.
Yes.
What will I roll for this one?
Let me be reminded what a fair check is, since the PDF for this game is so huge that I previously closed it.
I think we need to give the audience a quick little detail on how fear works.
Yes, so, in Shiver, there are a couple of very neat mechanical interactions that take place in this game. Every player in this game, as we do in the real world, has a fear, a thing that they're afraid of. And when you become afraid, it has mechanical impacts on the way that you play onward in the game. But one of those mechanical effects is that it ticks up a minute of the doom clock, which indicates whether oncoming catastrophe is drawing near, which would be of particular note at this moment. But for now, I just want to know how Simon feels.
Mainly a little irritated. He doesn't like being bombarded by all those notifs.
I mean, your phone is on, and I imagine that
Mm-hmm.
there is a level of anxiety that comes with um, the potential that your phone might be a threat to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let me verify a
It looks
thing.
like this will be my strange pool.
Aha. Yes. So you will roll your strange pool. Your challenge rating for this fair check is 1. So you just
Mm-hmm.
need 1 success. So yeah.
And I have 4 skill in fear.
In strange, yes.
Strange, yes. 2, 4, 2, and 3.
You're afraid. You look at your phone very briefly. Um, the act of getting an email triggers in you. Um, we should be reconnecting shortly. Apologies, everyone. That PDF is actually kind of cruel, and I hate it. But yes, it triggers in you a mild anxiety that begins to grow. Just the idea that reconnecting to the internet might not have been a good idea, and you should not have done that. And now
Have I
you're
seen who
afraid.
the email's from him yet?
You have, and that's also part of the anxiety because, like, why would this person send you this email? And you're like, am I being stalked? Is this like a joke or something? This is kind of weird. And you, like, seeing it makes you look over your shoulders, like to see if anybody's like stalking the rest of the booth. Um, for everyone else, however, you just notice this email. You've gotten an email from a writer named Georgia Salazar entitled "You are cordially invited." ... Does anyone open it?
Immediately, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll open it in case it's actionable by the FBI.
Okay. Um,
Yep, let's open the email.
so you open the email, um, and it has 2 things. It has no text in it. It has just like 2 PNGs. One is a photo that looks like somebody took like a screen cap of their phone. Um, and it's a screen cap of a weather app that shows that around 6 p.m. a week and a half from now, there's supposed to be a terrible weather storm somewhere in San Francisco. Like, like, like safety alert level weather. Like, this looks terribly tragic, and you're like, why did they send me this? And then you also see, like an Evite that it looks like somebody just made, like somebody who has no experience with Photoshop just kind of like put things together on a square image. That reads, "You are cordially invited to a dark and stormy night. An industry party hosted by Georgia Salazar at Castle Weird in San Francisco." And it gives you the date and time for 7 p.m. on the night that the storm is supposed to happen.
Brandon, question of clarification: is it Castle Weird spelled WYRD?
No, it's a WEIRD, but
Okay.
still. Which you, in fact, give. I was gonna tell you that this is a thing that you might know, but give me a heart check. I'm gonna say this is a thing that may have come up in a previous social interaction, at least.
Okay, I've got 3 in hearts, so
So you just need
I'm
to
not
roll any
holding my.
four. CR1.
Hey, that's 2.
Nice. You've actually been to Castle Weird. You know that the famous science fiction writer George Salazar bought a high rise in San Francisco just to store all of the weird SFF paraphernalia that she has. Like she has collected movie props from the very first B movie talkie. Um, she has like multiple scripts from like the beginning of the Twilight Zone all the way up to like present day horror film and television. She stores her own transcripts there. She has like I'm essentially a mini museum of SFF fandom. There is a room in this building, because you've seen the door of the room open. You've never actually been in the room, but there's a room in this building that has every Hugo that has ever been won by a Smurf who has since passed away, all the way up to like 1995, just like in a row on like a long mantle all along the room. That's the only thing in the room. Um, yeah, this high rise is just a museum of SFF curios, and whenever Georgia Salazar wants to do a thing, she typically has an event on the penthouse that is at the top of that building. And she's invited you all to this thing. Um, Frankie, why does this strike you as strange?
So I had heard that Georgia Salazar doesn't like me very much. I had never really understood why, and it had all seemed very kind of gossipy to me in a way that is not my thing. And my 2 friends who are here with me have attempted to convey to me that Georgia Salazar is not a really great person for various reasons. They have much more kind of legitimate beefs with her, and so by association, I'm not that into dealing with her in general, but I had thought we had at least kind of a cordial professional relationship, and yet I would not have expected to be invited anywhere because of that sense that she doesn't like me. So why would I get an invitation to a party at her house? It's odd.
I mean,
And I'll basically say this out loud. It's like, why would Georgia Salazar invite me to a party? That's weird.
Does she do roasts? Is this a hazing thing?
Why would she roast me? I've only published 2 books.
Well, it's like, I think it's been a while since she hasn't like found some new up and coming writer within like a cohort of a couple of years and picked them as like the reason that science fiction is falling apart.
I mean, it's happened. It's happened like in the last few months. Luckily, it hasn't been y'all, but it's happened. It happens on a regular basis. Yeah.
Never knew that science fiction peaked at approximately the age when she started publishing.
Simon is reading the email and just shaking his head. He has had one interaction with Georgia Salazar. It went poorly, let's say.
Oh, do you wanna expand on what that interaction was?
Simon's only been publishing in horror and SFF for about 5 years. He's a paranormal investigator with a master's in comparative religion. Our boy made a, honestly, all things considered, relatively tame Twitter thread pointing out inaccurate and appropriative uses of culturally or ethnically specific spirits and monsters throughout the body of Georgia Salazar's work, demonstrating a pattern of like weirdly exotifying, inaccurate descriptions of other people's monsters. This did not go over well with her fans. Lots and lots of people all capsing in his replies. It's just fiction. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The Jiangxi incident lives in infamy in his mind now.
Yeah, I imagine that was a very souring experience. Hundreds of people in your Twitter mentions, not just defending Salazar's work, but being particularly cruel to you.
It was weird. It was racist. Simon then was like, I think I want to go back to doing paranormal conventions. We're like, sure, most of them are white, but they're less actively in my DMs about me not being white.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about being invited to this thing?
Confused. Deeply goddamn confused. Like, if this is an olive branch, kinda sucks. Because an appropriate olive branch would be a commitment to doing better work. Are we going to just share a beer and call bygones bygones when, like, last year she released a pretty racist zombie story? This is uncomfortable. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, you all get the impression that, I mean, it's gonna suck. Most of these spaces suck. Like, you've never been. It's very rare for you to attend an event that was a wholly wholesome and pleasant experience. And if you're going to a Salazar party, you're gonna meet like some of the biggest names in the industry. People who are so established in SFF creative industries that you have never met many of them face to face. This is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to schmooze and hope that you get some good work, which is a good reason to go.
My agent would probably want me to go to this, huh?
Yeah, same.
If
Like-
it's a big enough party, I mean, we greet her once and then we spend the rest of the night talking to everyone but her, right? That's how these things work?
Yeah, that building is so big, wherever the penthouse is has got to be like 3 or 4 rooms. So there's going to be corners that we can hide in if we need to.
How high is the building?
Rick, you know that the building is 13 floors.
It's very funny because there's literally 13 floors.
Oh, does it have like big windows or? Already Frankie's like heights.
I would guess like at least one side has to be like the gigantic full windows looking out on the city.
Yeah, it's very weird because it was like mostly a renovation that Salazar had to the building, but like the entire eastern wall is like just plate glass, but everything else is like stone.
Simon notices that Frankie is uncomfortable with this idea and he's like, no, it's cool. They use super durable glass at that height. We'll just stay off the balcony, okay?
All right, cool. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's San Francisco, right? They have like earthquake codes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Unless it's historic, in which case the amount of renovations that you can do are pretty tightly restricted by city ordinance, weirdly enough. You would think they would prioritize making sure those ones don't fall, but
You
Okay.
saying that aloud means that now Frankie needs to make a fair check.
Oh no.
Oh, this is gonna be great
sorry,
because
Valerie.
guess how many dice Frankie has in Strange.
2?
2.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So you need any 5s.
Please. Yes, I got one
Hey.
5. Oh,
Okay.
today I'm rolling much better. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Simon tells you that you're like, this is gonna suck, isn't it? And you imagine it in your brain.
Then immediately the waitress drops more Coke in front of me. I'm like, oh, Coke.
Nice. Yeah. And you'll continue to mull that over in your to yourselves, like thinking about this party, having a wonderful lunch, and then you all go your separate ways. Decide, you know what? It's gonna suck, but at least my friends are gonna be there, and we'll probably get some work. Um, and if Salazar tells me something, I'll just like stick it to her myself and then just walk off. And maybe it'll be cool, and maybe it'll be genre defining, and people remember me as the badass who stuck up to this old white smurf who never listens to anybody. So you decide that you're gonna go. You all kind of uniquely have the idea that, yeah, we're gonna go to this party. And when you arrive, very coincidentally, all at once, in separate taxis, and you look ahead at this like astoundingly like large and imposing building. The very first thing that happens is a man in a black shirt and black trousers at the glass door entrance to this high rise known as Castle Weird goes, "Are you here for the party?" You're gonna have to wait a little bit. We're having a fire hazard situation. We're just trying to make sure of the amount of people who are present before we send more people to go inside. It'll be a few more minutes. Somebody will let me know. And you hear the crackle of a walkie-talkie, and he takes a walkie-talkie out of his back pocket and steps away to the right.
Simon joins the line. He's kind of craning around to see if anyone he knows is there yet.
There are like 8, 9 people ahead of you. Like when you get in the line, you are in the same portion of the line as Rick and Frankie, and everybody else. You don't think you recognize, maybe because it's too dark, but like you don't think you recognize anybody who's presently waiting outside.
Are we gonna get name tags, do you think? I don't. I get so nervous. I don't want to.
I feel like it's fancy enough that it wouldn't be a name tag thing because the fancy people expect everyone else to know who they are.
The line is very slowly moving upwards, but like it's moving.
If they've got traffic problems like this here, I have to imagine that it's going to be a half an hour to get a drink.
Do you want one? And Simon roots around in his messenger bag and pulls up his little flask, and he's like, "It's only wild turkey, but..."
Three different partners have tried to get me to learn to drink good booze, and they've all failed. Puts a hand out for the wild turkey.
Frankie's actually holding a double gulp, just like a full double gulp of soda.
Okay. The lines like remain stationary for a little bit, and then you hear like the faint crackle of this guy's walkie-talkie again, and then he steps to the side where he can see the entire line and says, "Okay, yeah, everything should be fine now. I hear that Georgia is more than happy to see all of you at this moment, so you can all get inside. And I want, who out of the 3 of you think is in front of the others in the line?"
Rick.
Yeah. Rick, I want you to make me a wit check.
Rick has 4 in wit, so I'm going to roll 4d6. And I'm looking for 2s. Nope.
Ah, you would have noticed something if you had a 2. You don't have a 2, so you didn't notice anything. So yeah, you just the guy is on his walkie-talkie. Y'all are walking inside. You walk inside. Um, Frankie, Simon, this place is huge. Um, the bottom floor is wider and longer than you thought it was when you were outside, and it is full of stuff. You're pretty sure you've seen every suit of armor that is stood up to one wall in a movie. In like each of them is in a separate movie at some point. You're pretty sure you just walked past Sir Gawain's sword from the Green Knight. Like there is a glass shelf to like the the western corner of the room that is just like pens with name tags for the writers who owned them, and if they were instrumental in the first drafting of any of their work. Like just like this is this is an unnecessarily extravagant memorabilia hall, and this is just the first floor. And
Simon takes a look at that fountain pen case and comes away wondering, like, did Georgia Salazar jack these off someone's coffee table? Because he sees some names attached to these where it's like, I've seen those writers talking about their pens on Twitter. They wouldn't sell their pens.
Yeah, you have the vague sense, very obviously, just looking at it. At least one of these pens were like they had it at a con and showed it off like during like a writing session, and it just kind of disappeared, and now it's here. You also
Mikey is
get the
definitely running around like super excited, like, oh my god, did you see? It was the costume that and oh my god, over here, and just freaking out.
yeah. Christopher Reeve's Superman costume is here. Like you can like see photographs of Georgia Salazar like leaning on the hood of the Adam West Batmobile. Like this place is just full of weird stuff, and everybody's making their way towards one of 3 elevators to go up, and at the like standing in between 2 of those elevators is another guy in a black shirt and black trousers who's like, so we're not having the event at the penthouse as usual, we're having it on floor number 6, the manuscript room, if you're not familiar. We're having a big thing. That means, of course, that the very extravagant Gernsback bar that is usually on floor 6 is going to be open for everybody to peruse. So if you're in the mood for dark and stormy on this dark and stormy night, that's a thing that you get to enjoy. So please make sure floor 6. And everybody piles in. Somebody presses 6 for the elevator right in front of you. You get in.
So I think as this process is happening, Rick has texted the other 2. Okay, we should probably set a save me safe word if you get ambushed or trapped by some asshole.
Perugia.
Can you spell that?
Peruggia.
How do you ask someone to spell something in a text?
Sentence.
Well, like if I think Rick still doesn't know what that word. He just absolutely doesn't know it.
Simon is happy to admit that he has no idea what the hell that word means.
It's the guy who stole the Mona Lisa.
Oh. Yeah, I absolutely did not know that.
It's also a Mass Effect reference.
Okay. What? From you?
um. So yeah. You all get off your individual elevators. And ahead of you is yet another extravagant room. Frankie, you feel like you're yet again seeing this place brand new and like being totally overwhelmed by all of the cool stuff here. Um, there are laminated pages of every novel and short story that Georgia Salazar and like a handful of the friends that she started writing with when she started writing like the late 70s. They are the wallpaper of the wall in this room. The bar to the right is like the entire wall of glass counter, and like the shelves behind it just like full of booze. People already lining up and leaving with highballs of one thing or another. You can see like dozens of people mingling all about. Um, Frankie is going to be the first person to give me a hearts roll.
All right, here we go. I should have 3 in that, if I'm not mistaken.
So we're looking for 4s.
Okay, 3d6. Boop. Nope, 161.
Yeah, you don't see anybody that you immediately recognize one way or the other. Just a mass of people. It's like overwhelming sea of uh, writers and industry folks. You can't even really make out in like what is a combination of not bright enough and yet still overwhelmingly dizzying with like individual spotlights in like blue and green and purple that are just like appearing and disappearing in random spots across the room. But yeah, people just like mingling and walking about.
Simon leans over to Rick and just mutters, I didn't know Georgia Salazar was into like nightclub aesthetics.
I don't know if this was a before thing. Like Gernsback Bar says refit, but like this lighting is like, oh, I would like to for there to be problems here. I would like for people to not have sightlines. I would like it for it to be easy for people to roofie people's drinks. This is a disaster.
It's lit like a rave.
Did you guys know that the Hugo Gernsback is also the name of a ship from Mass Effect 2?
I'm not sure if that's a fact that you're giving in game or a real fact that you're giving to the real people that you're playing the game with right now. But I'm
Yes.
glad that you shared it either way.
It was in game, yeah.
Nice,
One of my
cool.
exes was into that, but I missed it.
Who's Hugo Gernsback?
Before anyone can answer Simon, I'd like you to give me a luck roll.
Oh boy. I've got 2 dice in that. 2d6, and I got double 3s.
Ah, you got no lucks. I'm sorry.
Story of my career, man.
You're having this conversation, your eye like glances elsewhere in the room, and you see this like not very imposing, like mostly tall and gangly white guy in like a white shirt and khakis. Um, Raises his glass to you and then starts walking over to you.
Do I know who it is?
You have no clue who this guy is. The first thing that this guy says when he enters your earshot is, "Hi Ken, how's it going?"
I buddy, pal, you've got the wrong Asian.
Oh, I'm.
And Simon's just gesturing at his ponytail, like, no, wrong Asian, sir.
I'm. Oh my god! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like. It's dark, and I didn't mean it like. I'm really sorry.
Dude. White dude. Short apology, move on.
He just kind of meekly steps away, chugs his drink.
And Simon turns to Rick and Frankie and goes, "We don't look anything alike."
You super don't. Should we get in line for the bar?
I mean, it does give me something to do with my hands.
I feel like we need props more than we need drinks at this point.
Frankie's still holding her double cup, so she's already propped.
Where did you get that?
No, we'll get you a drink, and with one in each hand, you have a ready-made excuse not to shake anyone's hand.
I was just gonna ask for a refill. I mean,
to answer the question, however, the line for the bar is moving very quickly because like 8 bartenders. And they're all like very good at what they are doing, it would seem.
it takes an unfortunate amount of time for a bartender to pour an entire bottle of Coke into Frankie's double gulp cup. For those who don't know what a double gulp is, it's a 2-liter basically of soda. It's actually 64 ounces. It is a 7-Eleven beverage. It's very large.
Yeah, it's an enviable size for a cup for one person. And I wish that it existed here, but I'd probably kill myself if I had it. Yeah, so you have already entered the line and have already you're just having Coke. That's you're just gonna put more Coke in this. Is anyone else having anything else?
I think by the time we get to the front, we should be able to tell whether it's cash bar or open bar.
Oh, open bar.
Yeah.
So they literally paid for every possible drink that anyone could possibly order. I could give you Goldschlager right now, like in a 9-inch glass, and no one would say anything.
Yeah, so Rick kind of looks at Top Shelf and it's like, okay, mentally calculating, I want to cost Georgia the absolute most I can without getting sloppy drunk. Which I think means an AMF of Top Shelf.
Like the guy looks at you like, you doing it to impress somebody or piss somebody off?
The latter. And Rick like slides a 5 over.
Takes up the 5, holds it up to the light. There is no light ahead or above him. Puts it out. He's like, sure, you want it to double? Fixes you that drink.
Simon is thinking along the same lines, but when he scans the whiskeys, like, he does not see Cavalan up there. A disappointment.
The Cavalan's
not
done.
Unexpected.
Like, you literally, it's not on the shelf because you literally see, like, the bartender all the way to the top of the bar literally looks at, like, the empty bottle and goes, oop, another one, and throws it through the back door behind the bar for another bartender to catch it. Like, already? And the door, like, slides closed in front of him.
We're going to have to settle for that one really obscure Lafroig single malt.
Oh yeah, we still got more of that.
1 ice cube, sprig of mint.
What kind of ice cube do you want? We have ordinary orbs, we have world globe orbs. There's one that's a square cut map of Westeros. I don't know why, I don't know who did these or why, but we have them. It's a show off thing, I guess. We're here for a Salazar party. Just like tell me an ice cube and I'll put it in the glass.
You got a spaceship one?
He puts 2 Hugos in your glass. Yeah.
Well,
Simon has to just like swirl the glass to try to melt them down a little because he understands that if he tries to take a drink with the Hugos in the glass, one of those Hugos will end up in his nose.
Rick offers a toast. May these not be the last Hugos you see.
Right? And you all clink glasses, and just as you do that, you hear somebody, like, tapping a glass ahead of you, like, way ahead further up in the room. And that's when you see Georgia Salazar enter from a side door. She has a highball glass with what just looks like neat whiskey. Is holding up like these like 3 or 4 loose sheets of crumpled up paper in her other hand, while like somebody else is tapping a champagne glass like, Georgia, you should like tell us the thing already. We haven't seen you all night.
Simon sees the papers and like leans over to Rick and Frankie and goes, "Is that her speech?"
That's a lot of words if that's a speech.
Rick, you have enough
Is
experience
that the entire party?
You have enough experience attending a party at Castleweird that you know that it is highly likely that it could be a speech, and equally likely that it could just be 4 loose strips of paper from which Georgia will read the entirety of their contents anyway.
I mean, we might be hoping that it's a speech. One time she read a whole page of a contract that she was redlining. It was weird.
Yeah, that was bad. Anyway, like you see this like how do I describe Georgia Salazar responsibly? Georgia Salazar is like that one character from The Devil Wears Prada who never becomes nice. Stately, important, has a very commanding presence, very kind of cold in the eyes, except when you either impress her very easily or she feels like she has won something from you. But other than that, you've heard from a lot of people in the industry she's a very nice, genuinely considerate person. All of your personal experiences with Salazar and her contemporaries prove to you this is not the case. But you are here, so maybe a thing is about to happen. So she walks forward to what is like the center of a large cluster of people. And you hear from like the back of the room, somebody says, "Hey, Georgia, I found it," and lifts up an apple crate and walks towards her and puts it down at her feet, and she gets up on top of it and lifts her glass, and the first thing she says is, "If you've never been to a party here in Castleweird, what we've just found is the soapbox. This is I've had this one clump of wood has been in my family since I've been a little girl, and anytime I needed to be bigger than somebody else, this is what I stood on. And if I didn't have it, I probably still wouldn't be here. So first and foremost, 3 cheers for the apple crate," and like everybody puts their glasses up in the air and cheers. And then she goes, "I'm pretty sure more than half of you don't even know why you're here. That's by design. I'm sure a good few of you never thought that you'd ever be liked by me. And I'm here to tell you it's a very rare fortune that that's ever been the case, but you're here now. And that's because tonight is a kind of special occasion. It's a kind of hush falls across the room. You hear like some muttering from some other people as she glances over at another side of the room. Frankie, give me a wit roll.
Alrighty, I have 3 wit, so
And we're looking for 2s.
yep. I have 2 2s.
Nice, cool.
I'm apparently the good roller tonight, which is hilarious because my character is the lucky one. So
Very interestingly, you notice in this moment, even though these people are like more acquaintances than anything else, you haven't really done work. Like you've been in some anthologies with a couple of the people that you're about to see. But you notice there are other POC in the room. You notice like a handful of trans writers that you've been in some SFF anthologies with. You notice some other women nearby. Folks who either you know have also done a thing to piss off somebody else in this room, if not necessarily Salazar. But people who are so early in their career that if it weren't for like an individual thing that you know they've done particularly well, you would consider it kind of great fortune that they were in the same kind of industry room as any of these other people if it weren't for a con. And Georgia's looking almost right at some of them. And she goes, I'm sorry to say that this industry doesn't like a lot of us. You wince at the sound of us, but it happens anyway. It's hard to be seen here. It's hard to know that we're making space for people to actually grow in this industry. I'm probably the most fortunate person in this entire room. I've had so many opportunities that I've said no to a couple of them, and a handful of other opportunities that I'm still pushing back the deadline on. You hear some snickering on the other side of the room. And I'm hoping that if we share space tonight, maybe that's gonna turn around. That I can rub off some of that luck for some of y'all who deserve it, and give y'all the opportunity to meet someone here tonight that's gonna change your life. So here's hoping that before the storm gets worse outside, and this is when you notice that it wasn't raining when you got here, and if it is raining, you can't hear it. Before the storm gets worse outside, you meet someone here tonight that will be important to the rest of your career. And with that being said, I'm about to break some wonderful news that really is gonna shape my career as well. What inspired me to kind of give back today. I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of stuff on the interwebs for a couple of weeks now about a highly prized manuscript that may or may not be getting some very big deals its way very soon. And people have been wondering what is it and who's responsible for that, and I'm here to say the answer to the second question is me. And you hear like some small clapping in the room. I'm sure some of y'all have read Alex Fairweather's work before they unfortunately passed. And as you hear their name, and I want all of you, I want all of you to give me a a heart check with challenge rating 2.
Simon is smart enough not to say what the fuck out loud, but he's absolutely like lip syncing it at the other two.
I did not roll any 4s, so my luck is not good right now. So
No 4s here.
I got 1-4.
1-4. Okay. So before we get into the rest of that speech, Rick, you hear that and it recalls a thing for you. When Alex passed, you had a conversation with Alex's partner, Devon, at the wake. And they noted something very weird to you. Well, they noted a handful of things that were very weird to you. One was that Devon was in the car when the accident happened. Got out with some cuts and bruises. Was mostly unconscious until they woke up in the hospital. But noted that when they asked about Alex's condition, nurses said that they didn't have any of their jewelry on them. A thing that just kind of popped up in your head idly. Because at that same conversation at the wake, Devon tells you that they were getting weird calls from someone in the middle of the night. The first day that they got back home, like 2 days after the accident, just as they had gotten discharged in the middle of the night, like 11:30, from someone that they didn't know, asking who to get on to for Alex's estate. And they felt like that was weird and wrong and wanted to get your feedback on the industry part of that business, and you didn't really have a lot to say at the moment. You gave them like some numbers to call for some legal stuff, pulled some strings with people that you're relatively close to at Sifwa, and hadn't heard much about it after that point, but always got the impression every time that you've spoken to Devon since that something must have happened and it must have been very upsetting. And that crosses your mind now because, like, was that Georgia? You don't know. Sounds like it was Georgia.
I think Rick offered to kind of look into stuff because cop training, and I would guess either it went nowhere or Devon asked him not to.
Mm-hmm. So, Georgia continues. I think Alex was one of the most talented writers of their age. You don't, like, she glances to, like, a table nearby with other established writers in, like, their 50s and 60s. And kind of, like, you can tell that what she says next is directed specifically for them when she says they don't make 30-year-olds like they made Alex anymore, and they chuckle at the table. And she continues, when I read some of Alex's earlier short fiction, I knew they had the gift. And I figured after they passed that it would be a shame if they didn't get the opportunity to see one of their greatest works be translated to film. Mind you, it was an uphill battle. I had to talk to their partner several times damn near kind of have to harass them into seeing the value of this being their opportunity to make it to the big screen. And that when you hear that, Rick, that triggers that thought in your brain again. But I'm glad to say that sometime very soon, I've seen to it that hopefully Alex's final work, Alex's first and only novel before they passed, Hunter's Moon, is going to be turned into a movie. And people start clapping. You get the vague sense that the only people who are really enthused by this are the white people in the audience who either don't know who Alex is or who just appreciated Alex for their work and nothing more. And she continues, I thought that was a radically important thing to do. The sound of the word radical, it's like sticks in your brain like thick molasses. It doesn't sound or feel good. You feel very icky at this moment. So I'm here to give everybody else here the opportunity that Alex had. The opportunity to get what you truly deserve. And she raises her glass again and everybody cheers. Everybody, all of you, I would like you to remind me of a thing right now. Narratively, has either of your characters taken a drink from your drinks yet? Yes, to Rick.
Simon is still waiting for those Hugos to melt into a less pointy shape.
Okay. Frankie, have you drank?
Yes, but it's like, again, it's just Coke from like a series of cans that were opened.
Okay.
But nonetheless, yes, it is local Coke and not the one that she brought with her, or rather a mix thereof. So.
Okay. So Georgia raises her glass and says, "A toast then, to everybody getting what they deserve." And everybody cheers. You can look in people's eyes and see they have no idea what the hell that means. But Georgia Salazar said it, so we're gonna do the thing. And they lift their glasses and they drink. Simon?
Yeah.
You have an abstract fare as well. Everybody, all of you do. What is your abstract fare?
Because Simon is a paranormal researcher who then parlayed his YouTube and Patreon popularity into writing original fiction, he's aware that a lot of people in genre space think he is a whack job. He is often treated like he has no barrier between fiction and reality. He knows they're laughing at them, so most of the time he tries to beat them to the punch and make himself the butt of the joke before someone else has a chance to do it.
Okay. I would like you to give me a fair check.
Okay. And that is going to be... Whoops, I started doing that in the Twitch chat instead of Roll20. That's going to be 4d6 for my 4 points in strange. We have a 1, a 5, a 6, and a 5.
2 5s. You are not afraid.
For once, the crowd's big enough that no one's looking at me.
Yeah, no
and
one's
if they're
looking
at me, they think I'm a different Asian anyway.
Okay. Now, give me a wit check.
Ooh. So I have 3 skill and 1 talent in that.
Okay, so you will roll 3d6 plus 1d8.
Okay, we have a 6, a 6, a 2, and a 2.
Yeah.
And that two, one of those twos is on the 8.
Okay, so you've at least gotten that one um skill die, but I do feel like it's not enough for the thing that's about to happen, unfortunately. Heh. You turn to your right, where the bar still is. Um, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. There would have been a sign otherwise just in time. Um, but like, as you turn there, like there's like this flash of something that you witness kind of happen just as you turn. And just as you turn, you feel your vision getting incredibly blurry. You look down, and you see that in your glass, the Hugo cubes are melting, and you very vaguely notice it looks like something's in those ice cubes. But you can't see what because you can't see very well. And then you pass out. Rick
Ooh.
and Frankie are already passing out as this happens. And then you get back up. In fact, I would like Rick to give me a grit roll.
Okay. Rick is the warrior archetype, so I've got 5 in grit and 1 talent die. So I'm rolling 5d6 plus 1d8. So grit, that's 1 on the skill dice plus 1 talent from the talent die, which should be 2 total.
Yes. Nice. Okay. You get up immediately. Like, you just kind of heave out of this, like, sudden stupor that you were in. Your glass is no longer in your hand. You can see Frankie nearby. The double gulp is nearby, like on its side, drink spilling out of it. Simon's glass is like broken, drink spilling out of it. You very suddenly notice. In fact, just let me know idly if you got any wit in that last. If you got any 2s in that last roll as well.
I did not get any 2s.
Okay, so you don't notice that thing. I would have given you that for free if you had. So yeah, you get up. You notice that your friends are still unconscious. Give me a wit check now.
Okay, so that's going to be 4.
And we're looking for 2s.
That is 1, 2.
Ah, okay. The 1-2 is enough because it's kind of obvious in the room. You thought dozens of other people were also asleep. You see 20, 30, 40 people lying on the floor of the building. Beyond the window, right ahead of you, is the raging storm. You can see palm trees far ahead from where you are, literally bending in the wind, almost snapping all the way in half. You can see like large, like powerful rains to the point of individual raindrops no longer seeming the same size that they're supposed to be. It feels bigger, larger, more imposing outside. And inside, you see blood. You are confident that a good group of people in this room are in fact dead or bleeding, and you are hearing this low but very steady humming sound throughout the room.
Okay. So I think Rick does two things then, and please tell me if either of these are not viable or for whatever reason. First, he pulls the folding knife out of his pocket and flips it open, and second, he goes for his phone to call 911.
We're gonna do the phone first. You pull out the phone, no service. No Wi-Fi, no data, no nothing. You just have a glass brick right now. What were you pulling out your knife to do?
So folding knives are legal in California. So Rick would have unless everybody was pat down and their weapons taken from them, Rick would have one on him.
Nah, yeah, you have it. It's there.
Yeah. And because bad stuff has gone down, Rick is just he's in a weird position because he's going back to training for a profession that he has entirely forsworn. But the training is still there.
So what are you struck to do in this moment?
First check on Frankie and Simon, and then look for an exit.
Okay. Give me smarts, I want to say.
Okay. So that is 3. That is 1 success.
Okay. You can wake one of them. Who do you wake?
I think Simon, because Rick probably believes that Simon has been through more of something that is relatively close to this, maybe, possibly, because Frankie seems like kind of just a nice person who writes well and has had good luck.
Okay. So as you are waking Simon, one of the things that you notice excuse me. One of the things that you notice is that Simon has a dart sticking out of his side.
Fuck. We shouldn't have come. Yeah, pull the dart out, try to evaluate it. I mean, if it's something that basic police forensics training could ID, then he can probably ID it. Otherwise, I don't know.
It looks like a tranquilizer dart. It looks like one that you've seen before. It's relatively small, but it's of a kind that you know. Pulling it out wakes Simon. Simon, everything hurts all of a sudden.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, you wake up in this room full of people who are lying on the ground.
Simon is going to just survey his surroundings real quick, and then he is going to take Frankie's pulse.
Give me a smarts.
Ooh, how many do I have of those again? I've got 3 of those.
Okay, and
Exactly.
For 3s.
3 brain cells to rub together, apparently. 661.
Your hand is in the wrong place to determine whether Frankie has a pulse or not. You're trying to get Frankie's pulse from her forehead. It's not working.
Frankie's actually just really hard to find a pulse on. It's not.
Wait, I'm sorry, Brandon. I just remembered that as the survivor architect, I did take the field surgeon ability.
Remind me what that ability does.
It's mainly for things that are healing, but it does mean that Simon's got basic medical training to deal with minor injuries.
Okay,
I don't know if that would change how this plays out.
Yeah, it means I wouldn't have needed that role from you. Yeah, you, Frankie is breathing. Frankie is alive, and you can wake Frankie up if you wanted, without any issue.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's wake Frankie up and get an Uber and go.
Okay.
Party is over.
Frankie, you awake. Your mouth feels dry. Your head kind of hurts, and you wake up in this room full of people who are lying on the ground.
What? What? Do I have a dart in me anywhere?
Nope.
Okay. What?
You know, it's still not the worst industry thing I've ever been to.
Rick, give me a smarts roll.
No successes for smarts. 626.
Okay. um. Yeah. Y'all are in this room. You notice nothing immediate. If either of you, in fact, I should ask that to clarify what happens next. Simon and Frankie, do you get up off the ground?
Yeah, absolutely going to stand up, and Simon is scanning around to see, like, where the hell is Georgia Salazar?
Aha. Right.
Frankie is definitely just looking at all the bodies going, what the
I will need fair checks from the both of you. You will be rolling your strange. Let's do Simon's first.
Okay. That is a 3, a 3, a 2, a 5.
Okay.
For a very spooky total of 13.
So you are still stable. But you realize that you are surrounded by people who are obviously dead. Frankie?
Totally freaking out. No successes.
Yeah. You are afraid. It's so many. It's so much blood. So much blood. You are confident that a handful of that there are no, like, no one else in this room is presently breathing, and it is when you have that thought aloud, you hear someone sputter a cough from a load-bearing pillar on the other side of the room. You cannot see who they are. You'll have to walk to that side of the room to find out who it is.
Not Frankie.
Cool.
Simon
Frankie
is
hides,
that dumb.
Yeah, no, Frankie
Simon
hides
will
behind
do
Rick.
it.
Frankie's like, ah!
Okay. Simon, you walk over to that pillar. Hey. Who am I? Okay, cool. God damn it, I hate that I made these NPC notes. You walk over to the pillar. You see this, short-ish, um, mildly balding, white guy. You know him very well in the industry as a man named Jim De La Cruz. He's, I don't know how else to say it, but he's universally racist. He is, an undeniable bad actor in the industry. Has gone on a regular basis to denounce what he believes is, an SJW takeover of genre. You have not butted heads personally, but he's the kind of person that if you had that you've decided on a regular basis, if you had the choice between, um, like saving him, like saving the devil, you'd save the devil. So yeah, he's bleeding from his leg from a wound that you cannot see through his trousers. And he has this severe cut all across his, like, just above his waist. That doesn't seem like it came from a blade, and yet went a good inch into him and is like leaking blood, like pouring blood. And he looks up at you and goes, "God damn it!"
Okay, pal. Let's get your jacket off you and hold that to the wound. Let's apply some pressure so that the bleeding slows down.
I know how to treat a fucking wound. And he starts taking his jacket off. He starts taking his tie off. He starts taking his shirt off.
Oh, good, then you're fine. And Simon walks away because he says he knows what he's doing.
And like the act of making more words, you can tell, is actually causing him extreme pain as you walk away. You're just gonna keep walking away?
Oh, yeah, I'm going back to the rest of the party.
Okay, yeah. Walking toward him and back, you notice a lot of people in this room are dead. Capital D dead. People have lost entire parts of their body. It is kind of obvious that a lot of blood has been spilled in this room. Give me a wit check.
A wit check. I have 3 skill and 1 talent there. 3d6 plus 1d8. We have a 4, a 6, a 2, and a 3.
So that's 1. You notice a humming in the room. You can hear it. It's like this very clear, overt, consistent humming. It sounds like a machine.
But I can't see the source of it.
Can't see it. It sounds like it's coming from not necessarily the entire room, but like it's coming from a place where wherever it's passing through the nearest walls of the room in any direction. It could be a generator, it could be something else.
Team, I think we should get out of this room.
Why is everybody dead? Why is everybody dead? Why aren't we dead? How are we not dead? How is everybody dead and we're not dead? What is happening here?
You know, I think these are all questions that we should leave for after we're out of this building.
So Brandon, have I found a door to start kicking down?
Nearest to you is the back door to the bar, which will lead to a kitchen, which will have a back door that will take you to which will take you obviously to like an emergency staircase that will lead all the way, and in this like what is essentially a back staircase that will lead all the way downstairs. And there is the door that you came through, which will lead to the elevators and to two regular staircases that go down.
If the door to like the kitchen is not like locked, then Rick will kind of throw it, do a quick scan, and Rick is thinking through what is going to be the best, most secure way of getting out, which involves going down the stairs, these stairs, instead of trusting in the elevator.
Okay, so you're going through the kitchen exit.
Yeah, Rick is not going to go all the way into the kitchen without the others.
Okay,
but basically, I
you
wanted to check whether there was a door I needed to kick down.
Okay, but are you going to try the door now before you?
Yes.
Okay, I would like you to give me a wit roll.
Okay. If this does not work, I am tough and I can knock things out. That is 1 wit.
Okay. You open the door. You look into the, like, kitchen-esque area behind the bar, and you notice a crossbow trained at your forehead. It immediately triggers, and you have the good sense to pull your head back. Fucking pierce you in your eye. You nearly got shot.
I think Rick like exclaims "fuck"
Yeah.
as the crossbow bolt like shoots back past his head.
The rest of you just
It's a
hear something go
scream.
thwip in the room.
But for as soon as she hears Rick's yell "fuck," Frankie just screams and ducks like.
Yeah. Because neither of you were facing that door, you have no idea what happened unless Rick tells you. But yeah,
No
Rick.
clue. No. Just immediate response though. Flinch response.
So what are you gonna do now, Rick?
Mike is texting spouse to make sure that she knows that I'm not actually dying up here and that it's roleplay. Which understandable, because there's many people out front having a loud raucous party. Yeah, so Rick is going right back to the other two, and like basically gets down to a knee. And the crossbow was not held by a person.
No, it was triggered by you opening the door. You can tell quite immediately.
We're in a fucking death trap, and a crossbow bolt shot at me when I opened the door to the kitchen.
What?
A crossbow.
Oh, what?
What year is it again?
Apparently, it's the 100 Years' War.
Wait, did it come from the prop room downstairs? Was it from? Wait a minute. Why do I care? I don't care. What is going on?
So I thought the safer way to go would be kitchen to the back stairway, because then we don't have to rely on elevators or anything. But now I'm guessing that there's going to be something terrible no matter where we go. I thought maybe she was like kind of fashy. I did not think that she was like Saw movie death trap fascist. This
My
is
husband also just
ridiculous.
came in to do a concerned face at me.
I love it. I love it. I'm frightening people who are not even playing. This is brilliant. I've succeeded already.
But are they all trying? Is it just her? Wait a minute. Okay, now Frankie is going to have just enough thoughtfulness to check the bodies to see who is dead, and are any of the dead the Smoths?
Okay. You can give me wit or heart, but because you are afraid, that will be -1 die.
Yeah, I feel like possibly in this case it is wit, because I think she is not looking necessarily for people she knows, or she's looking for the absence of people she knows potentially, and also for people of a certain age group. So
Also, I will just point out to the chat, since I saw that Chaya Huff
1 in a
has
5. So it's a no.
mentioned the thing, and I will mention the thing as well. Inspiration in this game will come up very soon whenever somebody decides to use an inspiration. But it hasn't actually narratively come up yet, and when it does, I will tell you exactly how special that is. But yes, Frankie, what was that roll?
Did not succeed at the roll, so Frankie is too flustered to figure out what's going on around her. She can't even like look straight at the bodies because it's actually giving her a panic attack.
Yeah, mostly because it is dark and mostly because you are afraid, you can just tell that there are a pile of bodies in the room.
Simon is unfortunately not clued in enough to pick up what Frankie is looking for, because Simon does not have tight relationships with most people in this industry. Essentially, Simon's got a whisper network of 2, and they're with him right now.
Yeah. So this is not ideal. So I want to make sure again, Rick. Now that you've experienced what you have experienced about the room, do you want to continue through this kitchen and to the staircase here, or do you want to try one of these staircases beside the elevator?
Not yet.
Oh.
It seems like the thing to do now is going to be whatever, like however we're getting out, we have to get out all together. And there's a very good chance that Rick is going to have to talk everybody through this. Because maybe this looks, if they're in a fucking Saw movie, which is what is like we're in a fucking Saw movie, is like playing in Rick's head, then we have to all stick together. Like one person going off is a bad idea. Even like he can't keep getting lucky, is the way that he's thinking about it. So he's sticking with the others and probably scanning the room.
Simon says to Rick, well, you triggered the kitchen trap already, right? So if that's already been set off, can't we go back that way?
Probably, unless they're... How many layers of defense are there?
Oh.
Like, some people I worked with talked about like trying to break into, to bust into like a headquarters of some drug runners, and they had some person who was especially inventive and had like lethal Home Alone to the place together.
I saw that movie. That's all she says.
But
John
crossbows.
Teddy invited me to a seance tonight. I could have been at a seance, and instead I'm here.
I have edits due. I need to finish my edits.
The storm rages outside even louder.
Six floors up. That's no fucking...
None of the haunted houses I've ever gone through had a live murderer in them. Some of them had meth labs, but they've never had a full live murderer. So I'm going to have to defer to your expertise here, my man. Pick a staircase.
I will also give you this information for free, Rick, because you've been in this building. The obvious decision is always down, because that's where the outside is. But in the storm, you have no idea what it might look like outside until you either get there or look out a window, and the storm is bad. So you have reason to believe that it's going to be particularly difficult. So if you don't find a vehicle, it might be particularly tricky. And alternatively to that, you can go upstairs to the penthouse. And if you do, it will be possible to hope that someone can see you, but then you have to deal with, falling off the balcony of the penthouse or not being seen and being buffeted by the storm until the storm stops. But you will also have a clear sight line to anybody else coming up through the only entrance that would be there, if that were where you planned to fight, which would be more ideal than the alternative. Also to note that Frankie, you have been inspired by Triffids, so your next role, I will tell people what inspiration looks like, but that won't happen very soon. So yeah.
So what we want to do, Rick says, is we want to get off whatever this like nesting trap situation. Get it off that path as quickly as possible. Will get us off like radar of whoever this, like, did she sell us out to some like fucking like militia people, or like, is this like a Panama Papers, uh, like, uh, like hunting club thing?
Oh my god, is this like Battle Royale? Is this like the Squid Game?
Frankie, where are you standing?
Find Rick.
Rick, where are you standing?
Probably not too far from where we all like woke up, and trying to turn fast enough that somebody trying to sneak up on him would have to be moving really fast and really quiet.
So Frankie is just constantly moving behind to stay behind Rick, like a little moon orbiting.
Frankie, give me a luck roll.
All right, here we go. Thankfully, as the fool, that is actually the only thing Frankie's got going for her. So let's hit it. All right, this is 2 rolls because Frankie has a talent die for that.
So you will
So
give me.
that is.
So how much dice do you have total?
I actually have 7 luck dice.
Oh, so that's 6 skill six skill dice and 1 talent die.
No, 7 skill dice and 1 talent die. I put all my points in luck,
Nice.
y'all.
Okay, so you will give
So
me.
my luck roll, I have rolled 2 6s in my luck roll, and if I do my 1d8 talent point, then I get a 6, which is 1 extra. So I have 3 6s.
Okay. Rick, give me a luck roll.
Rick is much less lucky. I just want to set expectations here. That's 0 lucks.
Okay, so you're moving this small pacing circle of 2 bodies in this one square, hoping to not meet your doom. When Frankie, out of the corner of your eye, you see something glint, and you're like, "What's that?" When you see it, you hear something go click.
Do I duck and cover immediately? Because that's my impulse, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that was your impulse.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to be her standard procedure for the rest of this.
You do that, and in so doing, accidentally trip Rick, who, like, lands face down into the tile. A steel wire protrudes from the wall and comes rushing toward you both at high speed. If it had collided, it would have at least taken a part of you off with great force and continued moving through you. You have just, like, barely avoided, like, losing a limb or being decapitated.
Frankie just screams.
Okay, well, this is some Final Destination shit. Didn't know that this was Georgia Salazar's preferred genre, but I guess we all have room for change and growth. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. What, you have a place to go? Are you headed to the staircase besides the elevators then?
I mean, I guess it's as good as anything. If, like you said, we've sprung 1 trap, so maybe that's 1 fewer than any other direction.
That's 2 traps now. That's 2 traps. It's 2 traps. How did that trap happen? I didn't do anything. Wait a minute. I was moving. What if we don't move? What if we just stay here? What if somebody will come? My mom's going to call. My mom's not going to call. I haven't talked to my mom in 4 years.
My phone had 0 signal. I'm guessing it's the same for anybody else, but you should check.
Simon checks his and it's just like, yeah, nope.
So as you make it to the staircases, the other thing that you notice, 2 of the elevators, their sliding doors are open, and you can just see the stone wall behind where an elevator should be in both of them. The third one is trying to close, like There are double doors that are trying to close, and you cannot tell what's holding them open.
No,
I don't trust him
no,
not to turn those elevators
no.
back on if we try to climb the shaft.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that would be a terrible idea. You can't see cables. You can't even see the cables for those.
Oh.
Yeah, nothing
well,
is
screw
there.
that.
Just like empty boxes of concrete going all the way up to the top of the building. All you have are these staircases.
What if we
So-
set a fire? Will fire people come?
It's not a bad idea.
I
Just
think
has to be somewhere where it won't hurt us immediately.
this place
Oh.
deserves to be burned down, but we should probably, secure a route out first.
Yeah.
Any of those
Someone give
assholes
me a
are
witch roll.
Not it.
I've got 3 + 1, so I don't mind doing it.
Yeah, go for it.
A 1, a 3, a 4, and an 8.
Yeah, nope. Unfortunately not. There is a thing that you would have noticed, but you do not notice it. The hallway in front of these elevators looks more or less fine, except for the elevators that are missing and the one elevator that you do not trust. Do you continue to these staircases?
Yeah.
All right, everybody stay close. Oh, that's a good question.
What's that?
That was I put that in the wrong chat. Is the 8 technically 2 successes? I thought that was how the talent die worked. Is that it's like the
All right,
I
you
could
had
be misunderstanding. Yeah, so it's like the first, like a 1, 2, and a 3 are you get a strange die, but then a 4, 5, and 6 are 1 success on the
Right,
talent
yes, I
die,
forgot.
and a 7 and 8. Is
I
that
for-
right? I don't.
Yes, that is right. I forgot that was a talent die. You do actually have 2 successes. Correction. Simon, it strikes you. Maybe if you're going to enter a new area, you should check for traps. You check for traps. You see.
How many terrible, terrible traps have I just found?
You see that it looks like there is a tile, like 4 or 5 tiles ahead of the staircase that is raised above the ground. You have no idea if that's because it's just loose or maybe there's something underneath that tile.
Fucking pressure plates? Is this Indiana Jones?
Pressure plates. What?
And you see, like, you notice the reflection of light on what must obviously be, like piano wire, like just on the edge of the staircase to the right of the elevators, like just at ankle height.
Simon points out the wire, and we are going to do the steppy very carefully. Dainty bullshit tiptoeing through this
Are
hallway.
we going to do the steppy? Who is first? Who's first in line? What's the
Don't
order?
do the steppy. This is a terrible idea.
We don't have better ideas at this point, Frankie. Like, every direction is going to be trapped. Let's just deal with the traps we have.
We nearly got decapitated just moving within a 5-foot radius in that main room. It's entirely. Rick thinks about things that are gruesome and then doesn't say them.
Cool.
Because Rick does not want to scare the other people.
Mm-hmm. All
The
right.
thing that Rick is
We're
thinking
already
is
scared.
other people could have gotten up first and been murdered by the room that we were in.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
But Rick did not say that out loud.
Because Frankie would react exactly like this, yes.
Right. So, we're moving towards the staircase. I'm assuming we're moving ahead of the staircase. Whoever is ahead, I would like you to give me a luck, or smarts roll.
Yeah, it's unfortunately Frankie. Even though Frankie is lucky, Frankie is staying in the back. So just again, like assume always trying to be behind at least Rick.
I kind of feel like actually maybe the two of us should be trying to protect Frankie by having her in the middle because it's too easy for the end to get picked off the line.
Yeah.
So, like, we are walking sandwich formation. Which of us in front? Which of us is smarter?
So Rick has 4 in wits, 3 in smarts. I think you've got a talent die in wits.
Yes. And then you've got way more grit than I do, so you're able to meat shield a little.
Right. I have limited tanking capabilities.
Yeah.
I'm fine for Rick to go first. I think that's probably his instinct.
Then Simon's going to be bringing up the rear. Anything that wants to get to Frankie goes through one of us.
Okay, I'm gonna say that because you notice the trap, moving past the trap is fine. You get out of this, you get down the staircase perfectly fine. Of course, the awkward thing is, because of the design of these staircases, you have to enter another room before you have to like enter like the space of the other floor before you can turn into the other staircase. So you come to the 5th floor, and you see like rows of glass cases. It's like this like massive kind of small museum. You can't really make out what's in them because the light is out on this floor and the storm is raging by the glass. But you can tell that like there are like just around the chest height glass cases, and some of them have like what seem to be very big, very wide things, that you can't identify yet.
Rick kind of gets the phone out of his pocket and says, "Is this a terrible idea for us to use our flashlights from the phone? What do you think?"
Buddy, I got like an actual flashlight if you want it. Which is also probably a bad idea given the situation. But I'd also like to not trip on shit.
It's a lot easier to do anything about what they're going to throw at us if we can see it coming.
Flashlights it is. And
Okay.
Simon passes his like pocket flashlight over to Rick.
Yeah, and so Rick, like, so the cop thing is gun over flashlight. Rick does not have gun, so I think it's just flashlight is this way with the offhand, so that his hand with the knife is free.
Okay. Give me a wit roll to observe the room.
Okay. Is there like a teamwork or assist rule that we could apply here?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You can make group actions.
Because I feel like kind of trying to see what's dangerous in a room is the kind of thing we should team up on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so FYI,
Mm-hmm.
thanks, Frankie. Frankie does have a very useful ability, which is called rubbing off on you. Being in your presence makes your friends a little bit more lucky. If an ally is within 15 feet of you, they may re-roll 1 luck symbol on dice rolled for skill checks. So if you do roll a 6,
You
then
can turn that. You can try
you
to
can
reroll
turn
that
that,
and
yeah.
turn it into something else. Okay, cool.
Yes,
Cool.
just FYI. That's everybody
Neat.
who's in within 15 feet of me. So stay close, guys.
Mm-hmm. You're all pretty close at the moment. So yeah. So if
We're like a little conga line of survival right now.
Yeah, it's just I've been playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon, so it's just like the 3 little figures creeping through a high rise. No, it's not that high rise. Mid rise building. Oh, this is terrible. Brandon, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I mean, I'm
So yeah,
frightening strangers, so I'm very pleased by that alone. So anybody who would like to roll wit can roll wit to observe the room.
okay. I'm gonna roll writ. I did not get any, but I got a 6, which I can now re-roll. Thank you to Frankie. That is still no wits.
I am rolling, and I also had no wits.
Well, you have.
Does the 4 on the on the talent die do nothing for me?
I will give you 1 for that, but because Frankie
I just rolled 2 luck die.
Frankie rolled 2 luck, -1 because afraid, so I will say 1 luck.
Oh,
Very idly, you notice that your name is on one of these glass cases, Frankie.
hey, what?
And when
Why-
when you look into the glass case, it is the entire first draft hard copy of your first short story.
What?
You have
How?
no idea how it got here.
I thought, how did she? But I thought I had that.
In fact, no, because you've been inspired. I'm gonna give you both of those things. I keep forgetting. So you notice that, and then you notice to the side, one of Simon's stories is here.
Wait, look, but
In another glass case is a story by Simon.
Simon, what? But why is our stuff here?
Wait. Why would a person who doesn't even like us collect memorabilia about us?
I didn't give this to her. How did she get this?
Are either of you Star Wars people?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Is she some kind of screwed up science fiction Admiral Thrawn? Like she's studying us to destroy us?
Oh my god.
Oh, for God's sakes. Should have gone to the seance. I should have gone to the seance.
Frankie, give me another luck roll at minor
Alrighty.
advantage. So you will roll 1 more skill die.
All right, so that's 8d6. And hold on, 86 and 1d8. That's 1, 2, 3.
3 skill dice and
a 5, so
talent.
technically 4. Yes.
Right, so 4 successes.
Oh.
You begin to take in the room. It just kind of dawns on you that
Slow rotation,
just,
like camera spinning around me, like.
If I'm here and Simon's here, what's here? And you just take a look at the rest of these glass cases. In every glass case is a short story or a novel draft. None of them are George's. You see a couple of yours here. You see 4 or 5 of Simon's. You see Alex's first short story. You see a draft of a short story Alex never sent on submission. Unfortunately, nothing of Rick's is here. But as you notice every story here is by a black writer, a Latinx writer, a trans writer, someone who doesn't live in the US, someone who doesn't live in the UK, someone for whom English is their second or third language. Some of these drafts are in another language. And that's when you notice all of them have been redlined by hand.
Wait a minute.
Has
wait a
Simon
minute.
noticed the trend of like all of these are othered authors?
Um,
And is his filed in the ESL section?
oh Lord. I don't think Simon has noticed that yet, but Frankie definitely has. Frankie has definitely closed in on that. And that's when Frankie also closes in on two other things. Um, Two glass cases are not manuscripts. One is a large leather-bound book that you can glance and see that some of the pages are like black or coated in something black. And the other is an envelope with Alex's address written on the front of it. In Alex's handwriting, because you know Alex's handwriting.
I will point this out to my friends, but I don't recognize the notebook though, the journal, whatever it is.
Well, you do see it, but you can't really make out what it is. Just that it's there, and that's when I
This
get
looks like
to also let you
Alex's.
know. This is when I get to let you know as well that a thing has happened. The doom clock is now at 1:15.
You know, I really thought the mass murders would have advanced the doom clock a little faster.
Rick, give me a wit roll.
Okay. So that is 2 for wits.
Okay. You turn around, like, to see what's happening in front of you, and instead of seeing Simon several glass cases away from you and ahead of you, we're seeing Frankie several glass cases ahead of you and to the right of your vision. You see a large dark figure directly in front of you.
Kind of flashes, basically flashes to where he thinks their face would be, because hitting them with a flashlight in their face might stun them for a moment.
First is what you notice of the figure. You know what this figure looks like, not because you've seen it in person, but because you've seen it in your mind's eye. You've read one of Alex's manuscripts before it was published, before it became the novel, their first published novel, Hunter's Moon. The story of a married couple who is separated, attempting to solve an engineering problem at a lunar base, only to discover that one of the other members of that base has presumably gone on a murderous rampage. The book goes into this grand visual description of someone who went through this like painstaking process to make their own special space suit. Imagine what the logo for Kojima Productions would look like if the glass plate was more angular. That's what you see in front of you. Just this pitch black square verticed visor in an all black cloaked spacesuit, leaning down as if to look at you dead in the eye, but you can't tell because you can't see eyes through it. And the first thing that they're going to do is attempt to attack you.
Brandon's camera flashed just then, and it looked like he went all red for a second. I was like,
They try to stab you and miss. That's when you notice that the large dagger in their hand is like, one, the blade is as big as your head is long. And two, that's also straight from Alex's book. A replica, no doubt, but that's Alex wrote that knife. Alex wrote this helmet. Alex wrote that cloak. Alex wrote this suit.
All right. Cool. Very cool. Not terrifying at all. So Rick kind of dodges back from the knife, and what I want to do is attack with my knife in a way that draws a counter slash or forces a move, which then tells me where the enemy is going to be, and then I'm going to shoulder check them.
Okay. I want you to give me a grit roll. Yeah, obviously. A grit roll.
All right. So this is 5d6 plus 1d8.
We're looking for ones.
Ones on the 6s, high on the 8. So that's 1 plus 2. And I can, is Frankie still within 15 feet of me? Or are we too spread out?
You're too spread out to be close. You're closer to Simon than to Frankie, and Frankie is closer to Simon than she is to you.
Yeah. Then that's 3 successes.
Okay, cool. You slash with the knife. So that's...
I want to use the back off ability that says if you make a successful strike against an enemy. Okay, so here's the thing. This ability says it's only if they're engaged with somebody else, and I think that's silly. Because this is just the push an enemy back move. But I'm happy to put the whole text in the Roll20 chat.
You can describe it to me. Right. Successfully strike against an enemy, engage a brawl with an ally. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to use that in that circumstance. And even if you were, it would mean that you're pushing them into Simon unarmed. So I wouldn't recommend it in any case.
All right. Well, then I will just slash them.
Okay. Cool. The thing, however, is that slashers get to make reactions when they have been successfully struck. So I'm gonna roll yet again. And also fail. So yeah, you slash, you try to move them and they don't really move, and you still get the impression that they're looking right at you.
I think Rick growls at them. You shouldn't fucking exist.
At this point, Simon will turn around and see what the hell is going on now that he can hear something.
Because Simon is in the middle of that combat order. You get to move, interact, or attack as you see fit. So what would you like to do? It would cost you all of your move to...
This room is just cases as far as memorabilia goes.
Yes, just cases full of texts.
Yeah, because, like, Simon has a Swiss Army knife, but it is one of the super dinky ones. So, like...
And it would cost you all of your move...
That's not a viable combat action.
It would cost you all of your move to close the gap if you were to close the gap between you and the hunter.
Whew. Will it cost me my interact to yell at Frankie?
No, I'm gonna say speech is perfectly fine.
Cool. Simon is yelling at Frankie, stay back. And actually, he is going to consume his move to close the distance, but not get fully in there. he's going to fall back to about like maybe 2 feet behind Rick and sort of to the side, flanking him.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to a position where he can figure out how to spring. Which is going to be real stupid of him because he doesn't have very many points in grit. But if he had self-preservation instincts, he wouldn't have become a paranormal investigator or a genre writer in the first place.
Noted. Hmm. Very quickly, Frankie, can you give me a luck check CR2?
You got it.
Nope, CR3. Let's make sure that's CR3.
All right. So that's just 3. I'm rolling 3 dice and looking for a luck.
You are rolling your entire luck, but you need to
Okay.
get 3 successes.
Okay, got it.
You still have minor advantage, so you get plus 1 d8 to your plus 1 d6 to your roll.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 successes. Phew.
Okay. So you have an ability called Clumsily Covert.
Yes, at the beginning of a combat encounter, I roll a luck check with the combat rating, or well, anyway, it's equal to the highest CR enemy in the combat. If you succeed, you begin the combat encounter in stealth as you stumble into cover, which is literally exactly what I was going to say. It's like Frankie immediately freaks out and ducks behind the nearest thing that is duckable behind.
Right, so you duck at a glass case. These luck rolls are a lot.
Oh.
Cool. Am I missing anything? Is there something that I wanted to observe? Okay. Right. The hunter does not move. It is still right in front of Rick. It attempts to attack again.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. That's 2 whammies. Probably, unless you have to roll strange.
I was rolling grit. That was what I needed. So you suffer 3 wounds. And I just need to make sure about something in the rules without this PDF crashing my computer.
And it appears chat wants to inspire Rick.
Thank you, Arudinel. I will need it.
I keep meaning to ask Arudinel, who'd just bought an inspiration, who that inspiration was for, and now I know. Thank you, Arudinel. Because it's gonna be important, because we don't have a lot of time, so we're gonna get into a lot of trouble very quickly. And I just need to make sure of a thing in the rules so I can tell you exactly what happens. Where is this thing? Aha! That sucks. Right. Ring. Why did I say ring? Oh my god. Rick.
2 R names.
You are now maimed.
I have a special move.
What is that special move?
You're tougher than most, allowing you to soak up damage, your thick skin acting as natural armor. When hit by an attack, roll a skill die. For each grit symbol rolled, the damage from the attack is reduced by 1. And buff at level 6, I get an additional skill die for the tough ability, so I can roll 2. And I'm looking for 1s. Each success will reduce the damage by 1.
Okay.
Is this something that can be inspired?
Yes, you can. I will say that you can inspire this. You can roll. You can make this roll at minor advantage, which gives you one skill die. So you're rolling
So-
3, and this is grit to affect damage.
This is every grit I roll will reduce the damage I receive by 1.
Okay.
Mike's receiving a second inspire.
I'll use it if that's okay. I really would
I
like to
won't.
not be hurt.
I won't give you because major advantage is just an additional talent die. If you want it, you can, but beyond that, I can't give you more skill dice. I'm observing.
Maybe bank this
I'm
one for a
observing
little
those
later.
advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I will let you bank that other advantage.
Let's wait and let Prince Justa decide, because I don't think he saw that Arudinel had inspired. So I'm just going to roll
Okay, cool. So
3d6
yes.
from the 1 inspire.
Okay.
Come on, 1s. That's 2 1s.
Okay, so you suffer 1 wound. You're still maimed though, which means that your movement is slow until someone heals you. You literally cannot move from that spot.
So, sorry, is that movement is slow or movement is 0?
Movement is slow.
Okay.
Simon can work with the field surgeon ability to do healing, I think.
But that can't
we
happen
need to
in
get
combat.
out of the encounter first.
Yeah. So so they hit you. And then they turn around. And they face Simon. But they don't move.
Oh boy.
Simon, it's your turn at the middle of the combat.
Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this. I have literally nothing except my small, frail body.
How big are the things, and can one of them be picked up and used as a bludgeon, like the boxes with the stuff inside of them?
The boxes are
Oh,
like...
you think with 2 grit I can pick up a table?
I don't know if it's a table. No, I'm saying it's like, are they like cubes that you can pull out? Like a, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like glass cubes. They're like 5-foot cubes. I'd say a CR2 will allow you to lift it up, but you're lifting the glass and its contents. Because they're like locked glasses. Locked glass boxes. They would break as well. Which is another thing if you wanted to get any of the contents, but it's just like loose papers in glass boxes. But you
But
can't.
then if the glass,
you can't
like-
strike someone. It will do pierce damage.
Mm-hmm. No.
Ooh.
If you
Glass
wanted,
weapon is too much risk of injury to myself, specifically to the hands that I am going to need to patch Rick up.
yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make a minor sacrifice, and that is going to be an attempted distraction tactic. Specifically, Simon is going to pull out his flask, and he is going to huck it into this thing's face. Because taking a small metal object to the face will hopefully at least put a dent in that stupid little mask.
Okay. Give me a grit roll, CR2.
Okay. And I am noting now that I have previously screwed up the majority of my rolls because I forgot I had the ability Jack of all trades. Add +1 core skill points to a core skill in which you do not have a talent point.
Wow.
So we are going to ignore that I've messed up the majority of my previous rolls.
So that means you can.
But
that means you
for
can get
now, I
another
have-
grit.
Yes. So my 2 grit becomes 3 with this ability. Rolling 3d6. A 2, and a 3. Ouch.
Yeah. You throw your flask. It bounces off the visor and disappears somewhere into the dark room. They do not seem bothered. They do not seem to flinch.
Son of a bitch.
Frankie, would you like to do something, or are you just gonna stay in that cover?
So I feel like, given that Frankie probably could not like pick out one of these boxes and throw it, has Frankie recognized this as a character from one of Alex's stories, or no?
Oh yeah,
Just Rick.
all of you have read all of the various drafts of Hunter's Moon. You know exactly what this character is, what they've done
Okay.
in the book. You know that there is no like lore thing. It's just a guy in space who got tired and delirious and decided to just start killing people. The only thing that you can do is kill it, and it's very hard to kill.
Okay, so how was he killed in the story?
In the story, um, there is this long sequence of them floating in zero G, and a successful like uh, strike with the edge of a hammer breaks their visor, and they're exposed to the cold darkness of space and die. Um, but you get the impression that the visor in the book and the visor in this room right now are two completely different materials. And you don't have, and you also get the impression that you obviously don't have anything nearby that is much heavier. Although if you have something sharp enough, you might be able to chance it with enough force.
Okay, so I'm gonna go for the envelope because this seems very strange to me and everything is already weird. Like there's no logical reason for this to be here any more than there's a logical reason for her to have my manuscript or something of Alex's. So if you want to make a luck roll, it's like I'm going to either go for the journal that's weird looking or the envelope that is clearly Alex's. And if you want me to roll wit or luck,
Give me either grit or luck for the glass case with the envelope.
I think it's luck because it's just like a split second. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to just benefit myself in terms of dice here. Okay. That is
1, 2,
3
3
successes. Yeah.
You reach for the glass case before you even reach to the point where you could pick it up and throw it to break it or anything like that. You just kind of touch it, and accidentally the lock for the glass case just kind of pushes off and opens in front of you. You open the glass case and you hear someone from somewhere in the room gasp. Are you gonna look inside the glass? Are you gonna look inside the envelope?
Yes.
I'm gonna roll a thing.
I have no points in strange for the record.
It's gonna be grit. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Please no ones. A 1. You reach inside the envelope. You feel papers. Feels like, I don't know, like folder binder sheets. You pull it out in the dim, like half light of the room. You can see handwritten in Alex's handwriting. The first words that you see on the piece of paper are "Dear strange friends." Before you can see the rest of the sheets of paper, the hunter reaches and grabs you by the neck and is lifting you off the ground.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh, I can't breathe. I'm not saying anything. I'm gasping.
Whose combat turns next?
It's Rick's.
So I want to ask a question about use of a special ability.
Mm-hmm.
I have a force entry through a door entrance, breaking a lock, or bust down a barricade bonus thing. Would that apply to knocking one of these big cases over onto the hunter?
Yes.
Okay, I want to do that. So like if my move is slow, then it's like take a side step and then like kind of tackle one of the cases to knock it into the hunter.
Okay, I take it that ability says that you just do it?
Add +1 talent die when your die pool when trying to something.
Okay, make it a talent die and an extra skill die.
Do I take a penalty to dice from my wound?
Not from your wound, but I will say that because you are maimed, it will cost you an extra wound.
I'm fine with that. So that's going to be roll 2d6 plus 2d8 because I already have a talent die in grit.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed. I have to spell roll correctly, otherwise it doesn't work. Sorry, you said that that ability gives me a skill die and a talent die here?
I'm giving you the skill die because you were inspired previously.
Okay, great. Let's hope that I make good use of them. 66 plus 2d8. So that is
1, 2.
I think it is.
That should
yeah,
be
it looks
2.
like one success because that one is on the d8.
Ah.
So the 6 on the d8 gives me 1.
Oh right, that's an 8. I can't tell. Roll20 needs to like color code it. Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Right, you get the 1 success. You shove a glass case against the hunter. It shatters against their unmoving frame, but they do put Frankie go so they could turn and face the shards. For context, that story is written by a Japanese writer who you do not know. Like 19 or 20 pages of what might be a novelette that you may have seen in a magazine but don't immediately recognize right now because your life is in danger. When they turn, you get the glint of a thing happening in their eye, and you notice, even though you weren't seeing the visor before, something mildly otherworldly is happening. You get the sense that somebody inside there doesn't want to be there and is like trying to push their way out through the visor. But you can't really make out any real distinguishing facts about that thing. For this combat, I'm gonna move Frankie in the interest of getting to the beat, to the middle of this period, if you would like to see the rest of that letter.
Okay.
Give me a luck roll. Yeah, give me a luck roll. One, 2, 3.
Because of my
right.
yeah.
Your instinct tells you to read it aloud. You are just kind of whispering, and then there's a point in the letter where you kind of forget that you are presently inches away from somebody who tried to just throttle you to death. But this letter is from Alex. Alex wrote you all a letter 4 or 5 weeks before they passed. Just a kind of like one of the first paragraphs is just, I do not think that I'm ever going to actually send you this, but writing this is bringing me a great deal of relief. I spent a lot of time thinking that I didn't have people in the industry that I could trust. And then I learned that I was wrong 3 times. I'm grateful that it has been these 3 times in particular. This place is very shitty to us, and we don't deserve it. But only because I think that you all deserve so much more do I keep fighting for you all to have it. As you all have done for me simply by reminding me that I can be loved in this space. They continue to like list off the things that they love about your work and the individual moments that they've met you at cons, and you were very pleasant and thoughtful and beautiful and made that space feel like home to them. And they say, the letter says, I hope that 40 or 50 years from now, someone who is my age when I write this will meet you all somewhere and think, this person's alright, and that makes this space alright too. You say that. You are, like, you just kind of accidentally fall into the space. You are reading this thing aloud. Anybody who's facing the hunter, which doesn't include Frankie, because Frankie is consumed by this letter at this moment, can see it just kind of turn pale and then turn kind of soft. You start seeing it kind of fade away into wisps of smoke and pass out through cracks in the plate glass window to the side that shouldn't exist because it's a plate glass window, and it fades out into the storm. But before, just as like the helmet and the shawl and the rest of the suit fades away, you see Alex. You see Alex's spirit. And they're mouthing something to you, but you can't hear what, and they're motioning to their neck and to their ring finger, and that's when it dawns on you, Rick, that they're not on the spirit either.
Okay. So we gotta go get those. Or that explains something.
As they are like poking at the ring finger, you notice that the glass case with the book starts rattling, and you start seeing like Ika kind of like try very hard to escape the pages of the book and fail. And then when their spirit passes out through the window, they wave goodbye to you, and they're gone. And as they rise up into the clouds of the storm raging outside, the storm starts fading away a little bit, and then the book settles down. The humming that you were hearing before stops, starts again, stops, and then lights start to come on in the room. You notice that there are a handful of other people who are also dead in this room. Like, been dead, good, like, DED. Parts of them are, like, strewn across the room. You were lucky enough to not step on anyone. But only a few. Yes, only a few. And there is, like, a quiet in this space. And then you hear breathing, and you hear very, like, panicked footsteps. Anybody who would only one person, but anybody who would like to make a witch roll for me, please make it now.
I will go ahead and do that since I've got the 3 + 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3, a 2, a 3, and a 6. So 2 successes?
2 successes. Right. You turn to like the entrance of this space. You are ready to like punch something in the nose if it needs to be punched. You are on edge. All of you are very obviously on edge. You see like a 28-year-old, short, kind of skinny, dark-skinned woman run into the room and shout, is it safe here? I just... It,
It's not safe anywhere in this building.
what happened? What happened? What happened? People are dead. People are dead. People are dead. And they just kind of hyperventilate and lean against the wall. I literally just got bars on my phone. I called, and before they can finish that sentence, you hear more panicked footsteps rushing up the staircase. You hear something. You hear like a handful of, like, every once in a while, as you're hearing footsteps, you hear someone shout. You hear what sounds like a steel wire being plucked. Very briefly, you hear a small explosion, but you are hearing people rushing up the stairs from downstairs, and then 20, 30, 40 seriously injured, very dazed, covered in blood police officers come up with guns already immediately drawn on all of you. Everybody, put your hands up. One, like, very scrawny guy to the edge of this row of police officers who, like, looks like something nicked him in the hand and took 2 fingers off, like, pokes his head over the line of other officers in front of him and says, "What the fuck happened here?" And as you all explain the very wild several hours that you've already had just navigating one floor of this building, these officers escort you downstairs, navigate traps very poorly, but at least you don't see anybody else get injured before you as you get to the floor, as you get to the ground floor, and a large police van takes you all to a hospital. Rick gets treated there. Is lucky enough to, like, immediately get patched up. Nothing is very serious. Both of you all 3 of you answer any questions that they ask about what happened. They do not believe you. One of them looks you in the eyes. One of them looks Frankie in the eye in particular and says, "So to be sure, you're saying Georgia Salazar tried to stab you?" You know what? We're gonna make a report. We're gonna...
Frankie cannot figure out how to say, "No, it was an astronaut ghost."
I'm gonna
It's
be
like
real
she
with
has
you.
no.
I'm gonna be real with you. Either your story doesn't make sense, or you're gonna have a hard time. We're talking about Georgia Salazar. I mean, it's not. I mean, either you're having a serious manic episode and we need you to stay here, or there's something we need to... You know what? You know what? I'm sorry. And turns to Rick and is like, "Your friends are going to be fine. You are going to be fine as well. We've made the report. Whatever happened..." And Rick, give me very quickly a wits check. Very, very quickly.
Sure. That is no successes for wits, unfortunately. I
Right.
got a smarts and a grit.
You notice that this man...
If Frankie is nearby, I get to reroll the 6.
You know what? Give me the rerolled 6.
All right.
Please be a
let's see.
2. I wanted to see the thing very badly.
No.
Didn't see it. Right. This officer's not looking you in the eye. He's very frantically taking something down in his steno pad, and you don't know what. You get the impression that it's not something good, true, or pleasant. But he's like, "You and your friends are going to be fine. We've documented your report. Police officers are still at the building. All we ask is that you, until we get this sorted out, you might have to rent a hotel. Well, you're still going to be in this hospital for a bit, but we're going to need you all around. some things still don't add up. It's really important that we kind of sort that out before y'all can leave this city. I'm sure you understand we're talking about a multiple murder investigations. It's kind of important they all stay around. Um, and before you can answer him, he's already walking away from you, as if he's already gotten his answer. But at least, as you all are gathered in this one hospital room around Rick lying in his bed, you are at least confident that whatever wild shit just took place in at Castle Wade is presently over, and at least you don't have to deal with it again. And at that moment, Simon, you can kind of hear in your mind's ear Alex saying, "Still not the worst party I've been to." And that's where we're going to close tonight's session. Thank you so very much. I wanted to do so much more wildness, oh my god. Like, when I all were supposed to die and it didn't happen, I'm so very grateful that it didn't happen, but I'm very glad that we got to do a great deal of the antics that I had prepared. I'm getting the impression that if I want to really see all of the things that I wanted to see, that we will have to make arrangements for a 6-hour session at some point, and that's never going to happen. But thank you so very much for this. Thank you so very much for encountering the death of the author with me this evening. I would like to also specify thank you very much to Yoiga Wayne Lin, who was instrumental in helping me craft Alex as a character. I made a couple of adjustments on the fly, but I'm very grateful that they were present to help me work that out as well, because I wanted to make sure that Yoi got an opportunity to be present in some sense as well, and I'm very grateful that that got to happen. Yeah. So, how do you all feel?
I feel like whatever happens if I do actually go to Worldcon in person is just gonna feel really mellow.
So I guess we've saved fandom for you then. We didn't make it worse, we made it better.
Work in progress.
I think I'm going to go log off and count all my drafts. Just make sure I know where they are.
I'm very concerned
Yes.
about that now.
At this point, make sure that all of your save files are still there. Make sure that nothing is missing from your Google Drive.
It's like, I didn't even print that one out. What?
Yeah, make sure you know where your notebooks are at all times. Mine is still right here. But yes, thank you so very much for this game. I'm very excited that we got to play Shiver on a Halloween night. I'm very glad that we got to get into some mildly traumatic shenanigans. But this was also very therapeutic for me to write, and I imagine it was very therapeutic for you all to play. And I'm very grateful that we got to share it with all of the lovely people in chat. Thank you so very much. So, before I start wrapping everything up, I would like everybody to please tell the lovely people in chat who you are, what you do, and where people can find you, starting with Valerie.
I'm Valerie Valdez. I am an author and gamer, and you can find me on Twitter at Valerie Valdez, and you can find me here on Twitch at The Kids Are Asleep. If you want to do some writing streams this NaNoWriMo, I will be running some co-working sessions, so keep it locked and find me here online.
Nice. Next, Mike.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Underwood. You can also find me on Twitch, because it's a trend, at twitch.tv/Turbo Tango. I stream Sundays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can find a lot of stuff that I do and cool pictures of my wonderful, cute dog over at patreon.com/Michael R. Underwood. Thanks.
Nice. Next, Iori.
Kusano Iori, Clarion West class of 2017, they, them pronouns. Find me at kusanoiori.com and at Iori Kusano on Twitter.
Nice.
And, of course, You can find all of us playing in the Case of the Cindered Seal on this channel every month, GM'd by Brandon.
Yes, this is true. And November's date is still to be announced, but I'm very excited for us to get into some more shenanigans in Blades in the Dark as well. So please look out for that, which will happen on a Sunday very soon in November. Um, as for me, I have been your director this evening, Brandon O'Brien. Pronouns he, him, or they, them. You can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides. That's TITHES. You can also find me on Twitch. I will probably be trying to do some NaNoWriMo writing streams as well, because if I don't, I'm not going to actually get to finish anything for NaNoWriMo, and that's kind of important to me. So if you want to hang out with me and we can talk about writing, talk about reading, and talk about all kinds of other things besides, I will probably be trying to stream very much on Twitch at The Rising Tides _. Also, I have a book called Can You Sign My Tentacle? So if you're into some weird and spooky poetry about the gods of the Cthulhu mythos, asking black entertainers for their autographs, even though the spooky season is now over, you can still engage in that spookiness whenever you wish by visiting your favorite indie local bookstore and getting a copy of Can You Sign My Tentacle? So thank you so very much for this game. I'm really glad that I got to share Shiver with you all. I was very excited about this for several months. And I hope that we can do something like this again very, very soon. But I don't want to hold Greg up any more, as I'm sure he's very eager to get into some very spooky readings for all of these lovely people in chat. So I will give you all the opportunity to tell everybody good night and give them all of your love and all of your warmth right now, as I say goodbye to you all very briefly. And I come over here so I can tell all of these lovely people in chat that I'm so very grateful that you came to watch us play this game. I was very excited to play Shiver since I got the Kickstarter materials for it the very first time. I'm very glad that we got to do a thing, even though there were so much more brutal shenanigans that I had in plan in store, and nobody actually got seriously injured, which I'm also very grateful for, because it would have been a shame if they died. But I hope that at some point I can bring even more Shiver for you all much later. But for Halloween, I'm glad that I got to tell this particularly very cathartic story that we're all glad to tell, about how sometimes just being in spaces where you hope that people can love you and appreciate you can often be very weird and very scary, but often also be very enriching and very fulfilling. And I wanted to share it with you all in particular, because that's what this community is for me as well. You have all been so very nice and so very warm and so very appreciative of all of the lovely things that my cast brings on this channel on a weekly and monthly basis. You have been so gracious to me in particular, allowing me to be able to put content on this channel. I've met some of you in person, and you are all so nice and so warm and so lovely in person as well. So it was only fitting to me, I think, to give that kind of experience to you all, and I'm very glad that I got to do that. So I would just like to say thank you very much to the following people. To Arudinel, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, and Triffity Mats. First for, as Greg often says, being the best mods in the business. Thank you so very much for being so delightful and so very thoughtful in the chat, and making sure that no bad behavior happened, even though no bad behavior ever happens with this community. Also, special thanks to Shadowed Mage, of course, for the lovely overlay. I asked specifically if it was possible to put the dice legend in the chat, precisely because the dice in this game are so unique and so strange, and I'm very glad that Shadowed Mage went out of his way several times in the middle of the night to be as helpful as possible with the overlay and also with the commands for Arcana Spot. So thank you so very much for that. And thank you so very much for everybody who viewed tonight's stream. Rudanel, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, Triffid Emats, Bunny Rabbit Hole 1, Shia Huff. Thank you so very much, Crystal, for passing through. I'm so very appreciative that you came. Apologies. apologies. I should be back now. Apologies. The PDF for Shiva is the single only thing that is getting in the way of me being able to stream, and I'm very sorry for that. It's a very large and intense PDF. It sucks a little bit. I'm very sorry. Um, but yes, let me start that again. Thank you so very much to Bunny Rabbit Hole 1, to Kaya Huff, Crit Twitch, Dark and Wolf 90, Dark Steel Spork, Elysian, Phonetic, Gigafrost, Golden Drake, Juan Cabardo, Kusani Yori, Lily Redwolf, Mrs. Dunsill, Prince Justin, Skagath, Spike Trap Claire, The Kids Are Asleep, Turbo Tango, V and K, and Yitzhak Shamir for passing through tonight's stream. I'm so very grateful that you all hung out and watched us do some cool things this evening. I'm I'm glad in part because the thing that we were documenting this evening is the experience that I'm sure that some of you have had or hope that you never have to have in this space, and I hope that it was as cathartic for you in the seeing of it as it was for me in the writing of it and for my players in the playing of it. Um, that's one of the things that I think I care a lot about when it comes to RPGs, the act of documenting the individual moments that make not only our lives so much more intense and harsh and difficult to manage, but the ways in which we make it healthier and more productive and more homely for the people that matter to us in those spaces. And in fandom in particular, that's a very big deal for me. That's why I'm so close and so indebted to so many of you. And I'm so glad that so many of you, as a result, came to watch us play this evening. But without further ado, I know for a fact that Greg has something just as delightful planned for you all this evening. I would like very much for that to get underway before we get too late. A reminder that if you want to check out more of the content that happens on this stream, please follow and subscribe to twitch.tv/ArvanEleron. !ArvTube will give you access to the VODs if you ever wanted to find this or the other cool things that we do again. And I will see you all very, very soon with one of the other things that me and my strange friends will have planned for you all in November. But until then, I hope you all have a very wonderful evening, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.